Welcome, everybody. It's Dan Bissick here with the office hours for College Aid Pro. And as you're starting to come in here, I want to welcome you to this evening's presentation. I know it's been a little bit of time since we've been together because of the holidays. I hope that you all had a fantastic holiday season as you get back into the swing of things here for the new semester and with everything that's going on. My name is Dan Bissig, and I am one of the College Aid Pro experts. My background, just so that is that I've been an independent counselor for years now, and actually have used the College Aid Pro software in my own practice, and is also a member of the College Aid Pro team now, but did that for 3 years and just absolutely love it. I think it's by far the best tool on the market to try to help families navigate their way through this entire college process, in particular when it comes to funding. Again, welcome this evening. I hope that you've come prepared to maybe ask some questions so that we can try to help you through those things that are keeping you up at night, because I know that there are probably plenty of things that are coming up. For those of you that are with us this evening, how about doing me a favor in the chat box, which I think is working. Let's see here. Let's see. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. The Q&A definitely is. I'll tell you what, do me a favor in the Q&A section. Go ahead and put in there what graduation year you are and maybe what part of the country you're from. That would be very helpful. I'm also going to go ahead and share this disclaimer with you. Great, I see Washington State. Excellent, 2024. Thanks for being with us tonight. Who else do we have that's out there? Where are you from? Again, Washington, lots of Washingtons tonight. Welcome. California, excellent. Where else are you from? New Jersey, welcome. Nice to have you this evening. In Massachusetts, awesome. New York City, fantastic. Well, to tell you the truth, that's what I love the best. Hello, Texas. That's what I love the best about this whole presentation is that we can be here to help each other by trying to hear questions that others are asking and also try to help you guys navigate your way through this. Again, let me do this real quick, just so that everybody understands that from a disclaimer standpoint, just want to make sure that you all understand what I'm doing tonight. There are some questions that, quite frankly, you may ask that are beyond me or beyond anybody that could be on this call tonight. And there are also going to be some questions that you may come up with that you're saying, you know what, I really think that, I think that you probably in that case need to schedule just a 1-hour consult with one of our advisors. I'm hoping that everybody has already gotten themselves set up with the MyCap software because, like I said from the beginning, it's a dynamite tool that can really help you. So let's change things a little bit. You understand the disclaimers here. There are going to be times when you need to go back and get additional tax, legal, or investment advice. And so you need to seek out that advice from your professionals that you work with and or find somebody in your area who can indeed help you. But let me stop that for a second here. And what I'm going to do to start off our conversation in general tonight is I want to take you into the software. Okay, I want to show this to you because I think there's just some pretty incredible pieces of the puzzle. This is my sample family that I've created. For all of you that are using MyCap, one of the first things that you would have done is that you would have set up your account with your email password. In this particular case, I've already upgraded the software from the free platform. You're probably familiar with the fact that there's a free platform, which is just the mycap.collegeaidpro.com, which actually you can see right over here. That's where it can be found right up top there. And then you do have the ability to do an upgrade from the 3 colleges to our total database of colleges, which is the scholar level. And then there's another level after that, which is referred to as the valedictorian. Valedictorian, what that does is that gives you access to not only the software for a full year, the same way as the scholar, but you also get 1 hour of expert advice from one of our advisors on anything related to the college funding side of things or financial aid or whatever might be going on there. So again, you set that up. The next thing that you would do is that you will go in and you will create and put in all of your personal information. By the way, there have been some enhancements to this. So if it's been a little bit of time since you've gotten in here, you really ought to go in here again and notice that we ask the basic information up top here, but then we go into details about specifically the students. We want to know what zip code, what state, the number of students in the household or people in the household, I should say, the high school graduation year is very important. And if you know what your intended major is going to be, we'd like for you to include that as well. The number of student siblings, and then if there's a sibling, in this case, what their graduation year is as well. And then for the sake of helping us to position you for scholarship consideration, we need to know your GPA, whether that's weighted or unweighted, your SAT or ACT scores, if you've taken those. In California, I know that you don't have to now. Many of the colleges out there are, of course, test blind, specifically the UCs and the Cal States, for example, but there are colleges out there that do require these tests. For example, the Florida public schools, if you're looking at applying there. So make sure that you do your homework on that. Then we ask for the students' retirement investments, their gross earnings. Are they a merit? In other words, will they qualify for that? And that can be updated later, of course. And then we dive into the parent information because we got to know everything we can about the parents. Are they married, divorced, separated? What might be the situation there? In this case, I'm just using married filing joint return. What's their employment status? If they are self-employed, what's the value of that business? Because you probably know there's some big changes coming with the financial aid forms here in 2023, which we're in. That'll be another presentation, I promise you, that is going to have a big impact. The other parent's income, any non-retirement savings and investments. Notice it says that specifically non-retirement, meaning you don't need to put down your 401k values, which you've got sitting in that account. However, one of the enhancements that we've done, in addition to just putting in your home equity, if you have it, is down here at the bottom. We do ask you to put in your pre-tax retirement contributions, because whether you know it or not, you do have to add that back to your income in the calculations. So what's it do with all this information? We go back in here and it turns around and does some calculations. One other thing, we have updated this to read my college budget, because quite frankly, that's really what we're dealing with. You as a family need to have some conversations way up front, if you can, about how you're going to pay for college. Is there going to be a 529 plan? And if so, what's the current balance in there? How much are you putting in per month into that type of a savings account? And how many months do you still have until the student starts into college? In addition to that, maybe mom and dad, you guys have got some assets that you've set aside, or there's some specific monthly cash flow that you're planning on doing. For that matter, maybe it's the grandparents, that the grandparents or some other relatives are going to help. And then finally, for your student pledged monthly cash flow. But the bottom line is, what it does is it comes back here and it creates for you your dashboard. It shows you the specifics. Look up top here. Here's your federal expected family contribution, which is changing, by the way, to the student aid index. So get ready to hear that. That's going to be coming up. That's going to be a change that you'll also be seeing in our software. There's also the institutional expected family contribution. That's where, and let me maybe explain this. With the federal, that's where you've completed the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA, and for the institutional and the consensus, which is totally dependent upon the colleges, that's where you've used the CS profile, which is also located in the College Board's website. And then finally over here, we do have the first year college budget. So that's $20,000. But look how nice this is. It does a great job of, there's the option here to be able to search. Again, we're on the scholar level. So this would be that first upgrade that you may consider doing. By the way, the price on that is $149, but I've also got a discount I'm going to give you tonight that you can use to get a significant discount. Quite frankly, I was surprised when the decision was made. I was pleasantly surprised when it was talked about today as far as what's going on. And what we're looking at here is the fact that we've got that kind of information in here. We're also looking at affordability issues. So we've got the different colleges broken down for the 4 years. In addition to that, we're also looking at some other details here. So let me take a quick look at something here. All right, so good. The chat is working. We're good to go there. All right, I did want to spend a little bit of time for those of you that are seniors. If you're 2023 graduates and you're trying to figure out, okay, what are the next steps as far as what I'm supposed to do? We've got a really cool tool built into the software, which is the Compare and Appeal platform. What this does is it allows you to go into a school and you actually have the ability to upload a financial aid award letter. I'm going to go ahead and remove this and show you how easy this is. You hit select a file, and then what happens is in the particular database, we can come in here and I can just show you that I've got in here, I've got a sample financial aid award letter that I've saved. It's saved in a PDF, so I want to be very clear about that. So you save it as a PDF. So think about this with the colleges. Hopefully what you've done as students, you're starting to get these financial aid award letters or these award offers that are coming in. And what we want you to do is we want you to go ahead and save it. Save it as a PDF to a file. Just create, like I did here, sample award letters. And then once you click on it, you can upload it. Now, why is that important? Because you can then open this thing up and you can grab some of the financial details that you need off of this to work on your dashboard, okay? And so when we're back in here, for example, what is the cost of attendance going to be? What about any scholarships or grants? We can see off of this financial aid award here that this particular student received $10,000 worth of scholarship money. And so we have the ability to actually go in here and populate that in here. And the idea is that as you're building this up, what it does is it takes the starting cost up top here, reduces it by the merit-based scholarships, which leaves you with any remaining costs that you still have to deal with. Just a great way for you to work through this, because once you've done that, then we can compare these colleges side by side. Again, here's that same Miami University. Okay, we're at $25,787 of remaining costs that we need to come up with. Now we can go into this how to pay tool, which helps you to really get into the nitty-gritty of this. In this particular case, Miami University up in Oxford, you've covered 83% of the funding. Okay, that's what that blue circle means. In the case of Stanford, this particular student is covered 100% because don't forget, we already know from a budget standpoint that this family has $20,000 per year that's available for college. In the case of Tulane, look at this, we've only covered 23% of the funding gap, and with the University of Alabama, 38%. So the whole idea is we want you to have a very clear track record on how you're going to pay for college, so that as a family, you can really sit down and dive into these things and really clearly understand what it looks like. Okay, really important that you do this, that you spend time in this. Just a fantastic tool. The total transparency that you get with MyCap is a game changer. It really is going to help you to put yourself in a position where you can really make the most affordable decisions for your family, and where you can truly understand the dynamics when it comes to the individual schools. When it comes to understanding, for example, let's just look at the University of Alabama, which is a very merit-rich school, meaning they give a lot of merit aid out to students, high-achieving students. In this case, the student gets a $24,000 scholarship. What we've got is the ability to go in here and look at the admissions details. So what does it take to be eligible for these types of scholarships? In addition to that, what does the financial aid look like? And by the way, I'm really pumped and excited about this new grade that we have. It's called the Merit Aid Transparency Grade. Think about it. If you are hoping for your high achieving student to be rewarded for all their hard work, then why not have them apply to colleges that are going to reward them? And in the case of a school like Alabama, we give them a grade of A, because look at this. Look at the transparency that we have down here. It's super duper easy to see what it takes to qualify for these scholarships. In this particular case, this student is going to qualify for this $24,000 scholarship. Just fantastic, just super duper easy to do. So I would encourage you to take this program for a test ride. And if you discover again that you're in a situation where you need to do the upgrade, look at the Scholar program, which is the website, or I'm sorry, the software accessibility for a full year, or the valedictorian, which is where you've got the software for a full year and you get the additional 1-hour consultation with one of our college aid experts. Okay, let me stop sharing my screen for just a second here. Just wanted to walk that through with you. Again, I'm real excited to give you some details tonight as to some scholarship, or I'm sorry, some opportunities that exist, okay? And let's see here. One of the big things is there is a discount that you've got that's available. Actually, it's a 20% discount. Just need to find it here so that I can make sure that I upload it correctly for you. And I'll do that in just a second here. But the fact of the matter is, we're giving you a special deal tonight so that you've got the chance to go ahead, and all you need to do to get this 20% discount is go to the upgrade, and when it asks for a coupon code, then you're going to find that I'm just going to put this into the chat box here, okay? Give me just a second here. By the way, as I'm doing this, feel free to go ahead and start asking questions if you would like. All right, so I'm going to show that to you. You type in OH20, and that gives you a 20% off on any of the MyCap upgrades. That's right, any of them. It's good to go. And so that's a huge deal, folks. In the past, we've given discount rates 10%, 15%, but 20%, we really want to make a difference for you right from the start this year as you're getting started. And most importantly, if you've been on the fence about trying to upgrade, what a great way to save on that. That's 20% off the $149 cost to do just the basic Scholar update. Or it's also, in addition to that, it's going to be 20% off of the valedictorian, where you can actually use that to do that. Somebody's asking here, can you use that discount code if we need to schedule another 1-hour consultation? Yes, you can. Yeah, use that on the $299, that's the valedictorian. Use that on that, and that will indeed allow you to be able to get that discount. So not only that, folks, but if you've heard of, maybe you have, what we call the white glove program, you can also use that to be able to get a discount. So go for it. Again, what an incredible opportunity we're presenting to you this evening to be able to do that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop into some of the questions that are coming up here. If you've got questions, please be sure to put them in, not the chat box, but go ahead and put them instead into the Q&A section for me, okay? I see some folks have put some questions in here into the chat. I'm going to answer them just because they're here, but please put the rest of your questions in the Q&A. So the question, my daughter has been accepted at several schools, but really wants to go to just one of them. Okay. When is it best to appeal? We cannot swing what they are asking, even though they have given her $21,000 a year. CAP suggested she should get an additional 15. Is it best to do early? Yeah, I absolutely think right now is the time to appeal. There's no reason you can't start appealing. There's definitely an advantage if you've got other leverage based on other opportunities that have come along, meaning other scholarships that have been presented through other colleges. And so to me, use the leverage of that. Or if you've got a unique situation, if it's based on financials of the household or whatever. The unfortunate part about the expected family contribution, whether it's the federal or the institutional, is it's really not a representation of your true situation. And again, if I were in your shoes, I would absolutely start the process. And look, if you're stuck, don't forget that you can schedule a 1-hour consult with us where we can absolutely walk you through very effective ways to make this happen. I can tell you myself, last year, I helped one of my families get an additional $15,000 per year, and they were tickled, as you can imagine. So my former company laid some of us off before Christmas, but I had already filled out the FAFSA. Should I reapply, update the FAFSA about my unemployment, or should I contact the universities? See, at this point, you're going to need to contact the universities and make them aware of your changing dynamics. Colleges have the ability to do something that's really important, which is professional judgment. And so that's the case where you need to talk to those financial aid officers and make them aware of how things have changed compared to what your old financial aid looked like. Now, look, it's possible that they're going to definitely ask a lot of detailed questions about that, including how long have you been unemployed? Are you getting any kind of a severance package? What are your plans in the future? All those kinds of things. Time is your friend, or can be your friend in that situation. Okay. Once again, folks, please do not put your questions in the chat box. Put it into the Q&A, because I'm going to go there next so that you've got that. All right. So here I'm going to go to the Q&A right now. So let's see here. Other questions. My son. Okay, great. Welcome from Seattle, California again, all you folks. For other untaxed income, including but not limited to workers' comp and untaxed disability benefits required for 2021, include all other untaxed income and benefits. Do you include medical, dental, vision, and medical FSA, which are pre-tax? Traditionally, FSA, yes, could be there. In fact, I will tell you that the financial aid calculators may ask that question. In fact, we asked that question in the ICAP software. The reason being is, unfortunately, anything that is pre-taxed gets added back to your income. And so that does increase your, I'm just going to refer to it this way from now on, it's your student aid index. It's absolutely going to bump your student aid index number, which is what the colleges are going to expect you to pay. Once school needs to submit outside scholarships and external payment form, does 529, is that considered an external payment? No. If it says outside scholarships, what they're looking for is this. Sometimes students get outside private scholarships. And by the way, every college expects you to report this to the financial aid office, because when they're doing their final financial aid offer to the student, that can impact the merit money that's been received. It could impact other grant money. It just depends on how the school handles that. Now, there are some states, Maryland, for example, that has outlawed the practice of discounting or penalizing students for those outside scholarships. But unfortunately, most colleges don't play by those rules. They will indeed modify it. So that's what they're looking for, is for you to disclose that to them. And the reason being is because you should have disclosed the 529 money as it is in your assets, because those are considered an asset of the parents, not of the child, unless it's owned by a grandparent where it doesn't show up at all. Do you have any new updates for separated parents, not legally yet, for the 2024 FAFSA application process? So let's realize we're talking about the changes that are coming here. The way it's going to work, it's going to be the same whether you're legally separated or not. It's going to be the parent who provides the highest financial benefit to the child. So you might be saying, we'll figure this system out. We're going to go with the parent who has the lowest income. If you're in a 50-50% custodialship situation, again, it's going to be the parent providing the highest benefit to the child. In other words, it's the parent whose income and assets are higher. So just get prepared for that. That's what it's going to be in the future. And there's really no way around it. They're getting rid of the custodial, non-custodial side of things when it comes to the federal system. Can I edit financial aid information on the CSS profile? Great question. You didn't used to be able to, but this year they did put a button in there. So if you've submitted it, you do have the ability to go in there. So it says, I've submitted to just one college, but I have 6 more to submit. Before that, I do want to edit some numbers as I overstated them before. Again, you should be able to do that. By the way, it will also, or should also, edit it for that other college. But it's, as I understand it, and this is a brand new thing for us too, is that it's like a one-time correction that you can do. So you better get it right the first. For example, you should be able to go in to that college that you've already put in, depending upon if you've given it enough time. And at the bottom, there should now be thing that pops up, a button that pops up, make correction to CSS. But like I said, you better make sure that you get all those details, and for sure add those other colleges to the list when you're ready to do that. I'm working with a family and have a few questions. Do you have advice on how much banks and credit unions will lend an 18-year-old with a parent cosigner? I really don't, because the fact is it depends on the circumstances. Banks and credit unions used to be in the business, in fact, almost exclusively with the federal government, of loaning money out to pay for college. And then the federal government took it all back. But there are some credit unions out there that still do indeed allow students and parents to do a cosigner arrangement for loans. But traditionally, what I would tell you is it's the maximum that you could ever take out is the total cost of attendance for the school. That's probably the best answer I can give you. So that would be the limits that we would be looking at. And that's a per lender basis. That's a conversation you would really need to have with them. Okay. What's a good resource for finding generous schools for merit aid? It's pretty simple. Use the MyCap software. The bottom line is, if you use the software effectively, it is a dynamite tool for showing merit-based scholarships. And especially if you upgrade to the scholar level, and remember, you get that 20% discount, which is unbelievable, but you're going to get a chance in that case to do advanced searches of where you can really be specific onto the kinds of scholarships. And in other words, there's actually a selection that you can pick that says, show me only colleges that are going to give guaranteed scholarships. So that would be my advice. Definitely use that use that tool very effectively. I've been using the software and it's been pretty spot on, but I don't plan to do the CS. I'm wondering if the accuracy will go down when I do the FAFSA only, not the CSS. Nope, shouldn't. You have to know that our team in the background does extensive testing and retesting of our calculators, our net price calculators. I'm really proud of them because, as you can imagine, with over 3,400 colleges out there, everybody's got their little tricks of the trade, especially if you're talking CS schools. But the federal system is pretty straightforward, folks. I'm not here to tell you that you might not see a difference between one school and another school when it comes to the Pell Grant amount of money that a student receives, or the federal supplemental education opportunity grant money that they might receive. But the fact is, it should be basically right on when it comes to any of those schools. So I would use our software and feel very confident about that. I've seen the numbers this year and they're all coming in really accurate. Current value of tax deferred and after-tax retirement, pensions, 401k, et cetera, required. Do you put your actual 401k account value or just what you contribute? Okay, so let's clear something up here, because you're definitely a little confused here. You do not, on the FAFSA, put the value sitting in tax-deferred vehicles. So you don't put your pension down, you don't put your 401k values down. None of that is included on the 401 or on the FAFSA. The only thing that's included is the amount that you contributed in that given year. So remember, the FAFSA and the CS are both using what they call the prior. So they're requiring you to put down what you contributed. So for seniors graduating this year, they're putting down how much they put in 2021. That comes right off of your W-2, by the way. But you do not put down the value that's sitting in those accounts. So if you've got 500,000 in your 401k plan, that is not showing up on the FAFSA. However, this year for the first time, we had a situation where the CS profile did ask and require you to list the amount that you've got sitting in 401k plans and IRAs and things like that. So that was brand new. What the purpose is, personally, I don't think it's any of their business, but they did it anyway. And you did have to provide that to them because it was required to complete the form. Again, while it's not taken into consideration, even with the C profile in the traditional sense, the fact that they asked you makes you wonder what they're doing with that kind of information. And I don't know, none of us do at this point. For medical expenses, do you include pre-tax insurance premiums, as the questions help text says, to include insurance premiums paid? Yeah, you absolutely can put that in there as far as the amount. You're making those payments, so it's part of your cost. They're still only going to take that into consideration to the tune of about 3% of your AGI. So don't expect a big impact on that unless you've had significant medical expenses. And by the way, don't forget that medical expenses are the one place where you do have the ability to go and, again, appeal to a college where they will give you some grace if you've had significant medical expenses compared to what they think you can pay for college. When we are comparing offers, how do we go about deciding which schools are comparable to each other in terms of pressuring first choice schools for more merit? This is a great question. One of the things that's easy to do is, are they in the same conference? What are they meaning? Do they compete against each other in other things and sports and so forth? A lot of times those colleges are very much comparable. They do consider each other competition, both not only on the field, but also in the field of recruiting incoming freshmen. And they're often priced the same. What's not going to work is if you're using a public institution against a highly selective private college. Not going to work, okay? It's truly about having comparable colleges, private colleges that are, again, in the same ballpark when it comes to their overall price, but they gave more merit money to your student than somebody else did. That's going to be my best advice to you. Because you have to remember something. Private colleges can do something that public colleges can't do, which is they can discount their rates. If they want your student bad enough, they will absolutely discount the cost associated with that. Okay, let's see here. Can you talk through the appeals process? Do you call each college individually? The answer is yes, you either call them or I would actually start with an email initially. Depending upon the circumstances, I do think that there's a lot of value and merit in having your student involved in these conversations. Remember, the college wants to know that they really want to come to the school. And that's why I tell every one of my families that every one of the colleges the student is applying to needs to be their number one school, okay? And so when it comes to the appeal process, who's appealing to go there? It's the student. However, a lot of times students aren't involved in the money conversations. And so it can be a tag team effect on that, or in that case, okay? But I will tell you that I've very effectively helped families when it comes to drafting emails to the school initially and giving total transparency that everything's going on, including the fact that they may have an actual protocol that you have to follow, meaning there might be an initial form that you've got to do. You need to check in with every college as to what their process is before you start doing anything. So that would be my advice. How are divorced families handled? I'm a single mom, one kid in college, second one will graduate in June of 2024. I have a GET plan for each, but I won't cover it. Any strategies to get additional funding? I do not expect any help from my ex. Here's what I would say to you. As I said initially, when it comes to divorced families, you have to know that with the FAFSA, it's going to be the parent who provides the most financial benefit to the child. That's the one that's going to be completing those forms in the future. When it comes to the CS profile, it's both. Now, there are some exceptions. There are some colleges out there, for example, like UNC Chapel Hill, that does not require the non-custodial parent to submit anything. But that's an individual school basis. What you've got to do is just Google CSS profile colleges. It's that simple. Google CS profile colleges. And then what will happen is you'll see the list of schools. And over on the right side, there will be a series of columns. And one of those columns will say a non-custodial parent, and it'll give you a yes or a no. And if there's a no there, then congratulations. You don't have to worry about that parent. Just because you don't think the ex is going to participate Doesn't mean that the college may not expect the parent to participate as far as completing the forms. So proceed with caution. You've got to know that going in. Now, if it's a FAFSA only school, then you don't have to worry about them. But like I said, with the CSS profile, it's a different story. What if most of the comp acceptances are from SUNYs? I'm not sure that I'm understanding 100% what you mean by that, because again, the SUNYs are just like any other school when it comes to this. How much is the 1 hour consult? So you get the 1 hour consult if you do the upgrade to the valedictorian, and that's the $299. So imagine you're doing the $299, but you're saving 20% by using that OH20, the letters OH20 is going to give you that discount. So I would encourage you to do that. By far, it's going to be your best option to schedule that 1 hour consult right now with that discount. I have a 2023 student. I'm filling in the non-custodial CS form. If I made less than 2022, should I submit 2022 information? No, you've got to follow exactly what it's telling you. It'll tell you as the parent what income and tax information they're looking for. So they're going to ask you about your 2021 income and taxes. They're going to ask you for your 2022, and you should have a really good idea about that now, hopefully at the end of the year, depending upon if you're a W-2 employee or if you're a business owner, it might be a little bit more difficult. And then they're going to ask you for a projection of 2023 as well. And they're looking at everything. And depending upon your situation, you may be able to go and again, have a conversation with those financial aid officers for an appeal. By the way, notice I'm saying appeal. I'm not saying negotiate. You have to know that colleges don't like negotiating. Okay, they're just not into that whole concept. They feel like they've probably given you the best offer possible. And the truth of the matter is that in this regard, they're trying to put you in a position of, if you've got a legitimate reason to come back to them, then go back to them and feel free to appeal the offer. But be prepared, because they're going to expect a paperwork trail to support whatever you're claiming. If you did the FAFSA a month ago and are working on the CS, can you use the same numbers as you used for cash and investments on the FAFSA application? I read that the numbers should be in sync between the two forms. It's probably not going to hurt you to do that. You have to know that with those forms, it's supposed to be the value of the assets on the day that you submit it. Now, look, it could be that the value of your assets because of the stock market have gone down. So that would be an advantage to you. Or maybe you've spent down some of the money in some other way, and that's in turn reduced it. I don't think if it's off by a little bit that they're going to hold that against you at all. They are not going to come to you and expect you to send them copies of your bank and investment statements. Okay, it's not going to happen. Will they ask you to send copies of your tax and upload your tax returns and your W-2s and do some other documentation for them? It's very possible, depending upon your circumstances. So that's the one thing, but I think you'd be fine moving ahead with that. What is the best way to appeal? In letter, email letter, call? And I think I answered this already, but it depends. I would contact the school and find out what their protocol is as far as how to do that. But personally, I think sending an email letter to the financial aid office can really be the best bet, especially if you've got all the facts and details to support it. Will colleges see 1 or 2 years of tax returns when eventually are evaluating aid for a freshman year? Nope. They shouldn't, because remember, on the FAFSA, what are you doing? If you did the IRS data retrieval tool, you literally just updated your 2021 tax return. The CS profile is a little different, but even then, it depends on whether the college asked you to upload a copy of your tax return. And even then, the only tax return that they're likely going to ask for is going to be your 2021. I've never seen the 2022 requested, even with this being past it, because again, they're all using this prior approach to things. Hopefully that's going to help you. The 2-year tax return should not be an issue. If my kid goes to the state school, our out-of-pocket expense would be less than $30,000. If we send her to a private school, which is where she wants to go, our expense would be around $50,000 per year. Can we use these numbers to ask for more money from the private school? Not. Again, back to my original comment. If you had another private school that is competing for your daughter and has given her a bigger scholarship, then yes. The only thing that you really have as far as leverage, in my opinion, is what your expected family contribution is and how that looks. You say here that they've provided $16,000 per year, which is only about 30% of the total expense. And believe me, I get it. You probably, in fact, there's no probably about it. You need to go back and at least ask. Look, here's the thing that you need to know, folks. With the brand new FAFSA Simplification Act, one of the things that they've done is that they've said that every family should have a right, which, by the way, has always existed, but now they're promoting it, should have the right to be able to go back and appeal a financial aid offer that any college makes. It can't hurt. What's the worst thing they can do? They can say no. But you're going to have to be, and here's the most important part, pleasantly persistent. Don't be a pain in the butt to these financial aid officers. Remember, it's usually somebody that's making, could be a fraction of what you make. They look at your numbers and they may go one way or the other depending upon what's going on. And or you have to do everything that you can to give them a reason to say, yes, we can give you a little bit more money. But whether they're going to drop that big a number, that's the choice of going to a private school over a public. That's why, again, I think that you have to have other outside private schools that you can lean on as a way to leverage those. All the questions above are for CS Profile. Okay, got it. But I don't see that button when I logged in. I'm not sure what button you're talking about. Over on the MyCap account, if you go into it, up in the right-hand corner, there should be an upgrade. Also, I will tell you this in the program itself. In fact, let me just stop this for a second. I think I can share my screen with you. Let's see, do I still have it open? Tell you what, give me just a second here. While I'm doing this, I will say this. There's a button that exists on the screen that allows you to go ahead and actually take a look at and or the contract. Okay, you can actually upgrade from the free to the scholar, or you can actually go also into the valedictorian. Just a minute here. All right, this is loading up here, and I'm going to show you though where you've got the ability in this. Let me share my screen with you here again. Let's see here. Sorry, folks. I'm gonna figure out what the heck happened to my. Okay. Tell me if you can see my screen right now, if you would, everybody. I'm hoping that you can. Tell you what. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. All right. What I want to show you, and then I'll get back to the Q&A here, is as you're on this screen, if you come down here on this, we're working our way onto the options here. You've got all kinds of things. If I go back to my dashboard like I am here, see this button up top here? See what I'm pointing out over here on the right-hand side? Talk to an expert. That gives you the ability to go ahead and go in here and schedule that 1-hour meeting. Okay, that's again where you can plug in the code to be able to work through any issues that you've got, any additional things that we don't cover tonight. So again, that's what that's all about. That gives you the ability to be able to work through that. I'm just going to leave that screen open for right now. Let's see what else we've got here. My ex is not cooperative at all, and he is not required to help with college. That's not uncommon, by the way, with a divorce decree. Well, the schools require his information. Will I be penalized if I don't include his information? Goes back to my original statement with the CS profile. If they require it, yes, which means that you need to go do the CS profile colleges and see if they require a non-custodial parent. If they don't, then you're just going to strictly use your information. Okay. My daughter's applying to colleges this year. Her dad and I are divorced. Okay. Dad is the custodial parent if we married 10 years ago, and my current husband is a high income. When submitting CS profile, can I only declare my own income and assets as a non-custodial parent? My current husband and I have filed taxes jointly, so tax return has our common income numbers. So here's the deal. When you're divorced and completing the CS profile, which is what you're referring to here, and again, both parents are divorced, both parents are remarried, it requires both. It requires mom and step-parents' income and dad and step-parents' income, or whatever, both parents from that situation. So it can be 4 incomes and 4 assets, unfortunately. The only exception, again, is if the non-custodial parent is not required. And that's, again, where you need to use that list. Okay. I'm wondering if I need to have 2 separate appeals. We have a significant loss in income this year, and will also appeal on a merit basis for my daughter, who currently has received a few merit offers to compare play off each other. Do I need to talk to financial aid offices and admissions offices if I want to appeal on merit and financial aid? Yep, you do. You need to have those conversations. Sounds like what you're talking about here is, do you need to have conversations with both colleges? And sure, you can absolutely do that. Remember what I said a few minutes ago, every single college needs to be your #1 college. And so if that's indeed the case, then that's what we're talking about here, is that you need to work through that. All right. I did the FAFSA calculation online and found you didn't give a lot of instruction about how to fill out your calculations. My EFC came in 40,000 more than your calculations did, and I couldn't figure out why your calculations were different. You know what? I'm not really sure either. We try to be as straightforward as we can. Actually, our MyCap profile is designed to be as simple as possible. We're not trying to overcomplicate it. One of the reasons why we also suggest that you may have to use both our calculator, you may also need to run the net price calculator at the college. And by the way, just remember this, not all calculators are created equally. Some of them they're just not great. And so the point is, you've got to be careful, because in any case, we're giving you our best shot based on the data points that you put in. And so if everything's not in there, if all the facts are not accurate, then it's possible that your numbers could indeed be off. And I'm sorry that happened, but that's the only explanation I could give as to what happened there. What is the best way to handle an appeal in email? Okay, this one's already come up. I'm going to move on from that. My son got a package from his ED First Choice College, a private college that included $9,500 in merit aid. It was less than the offer he received from his other choices. Okay. All of the schools gave no other financial aid except unsubsidized direct loans. Should we appeal to the admissions office or financial aid office? You're going to appeal to if you're trying to get financial aid, or you're trying to get merit aid. Okay. Merit aid, you would go to the admissions office and appeal, because that's where the merit aid is given out. Financial aid, you're appealing to the financial aid office. So I think that would answer your question. Should we use the other merit offers when making our appeal for more merit aid? You applied ED to the First Choice College. So, their understanding is this was the first college, the only college that your student was going to come to. And at this point, you're supposed to close out those other colleges, right? That's what ED says. Early decision is binding, unless there's a financial hardship that prevents you from being able to pay to go to that school. That's the only exception. Or, of course, if there's been a health issue that's preventing the student from coming there. But at this point, trying to leverage those other schools against that, probably not a good idea, at least as far as I'm concerned. Now, could you go back and ask for more money? Yes. But do those other schools even compare to the ED school? That's a whole nother conversation. There's just too much information missing there for me to give you any more than an answer like that. Should you wait for all of your offers before appealing any offers? You may need to wait a little bit. There's no doubt that the more facts you have, the better your chances are going to be. That comes back to, again, having comparable colleges to leverage against each other. For CS profile, is there a place to add association fees or property taxes? Nope, they don't care about that. That's an expectation that you have to pay along with your car payments, your debt, all those kinds of things. They do not give you any benefit for paying those kinds of things. In fact, if you read the question closely, it tells you exactly what you can put in there as far as your mortgage payment. So they give you specific details. We have 2 kids in college, and new changes in 2024-25 remove the benefit for multi-child discount. Yes, they sure do. That's an ouch, by the way, isn't it, folks? Excuse me. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the FAFSA right now gives a discount for multiple students in college at the same time. However, what's going to happen here is this year, the new FAFSA Simplification Act has wiped that out. It's actually taking it away. So here's an example. If in the past your expected family contribution was $40,000 for your household, the new student aid index is going to be $40,000 per child. It's not going to be $20,000, because in the past they would actually give you a discount in a way. They would give it 40,000 EFC for one child and 20,000 EFC for one child and about 20,000 for the other child. Not anymore. Now the way that this works is it's going to be $40,000 worth of student aid index for both children. And that's rock your world, folks. It's unbelievable that they've done it. And I would encourage you for that reason to definitely sign our petition to see about what's going on there, because we've got to do something between now and October the 1st to see if some changes can be made, because if not, it's really going to impact lower income and middle income families in a very big way. Even higher income families that maybe we're hoping to get a discount in the future are going to be impacted. On the CSS profile, must we adjust for a conversion from an IRA to a Roth IRA? The conversion creates taxable income, but it's just moving your own IRA around. You better, because of the fact that if you don't disclose that, by the way, don't forget the one advantage to the CS profile is that there's a spot at the very end where you can put special circumstances. Now, We normally suggest that you wait on some things, but this would be an example where it might make sense to disclose that in advance. In other words, give the school some idea that this might show that there's an IRA or an income gain, I guess I should say, on the tax return, but that was a qualified rollover that took place. And if that is indeed the case, then you want to disclose that up front so they don't hold that against you. I pretty recently had a family where they came to us after the fact to try to help them fix a situation similar to this, but where unfortunately they hadn't disclosed that in advance. And their EFC was just huge. It really got impacted in a very big way. Can you tell us that discount code again, please? You better believe it. It's OH. And again, it's in the chat box if you want to see it, but it's O20, the number 20. OH, the number 20. In your experience, how long does an appeal process take? It can take days. It can take a couple of weeks. It just depends on how much additional information they want you to provide. I will also tell you that sometimes it gets a little scary because a college, so let's use that early decision situation that we were just talking about. There are colleges that may have a deadline that they expect to hear from your student by the middle of January, the 1st of February, that type of thing. They're not kidding around. They will turn around and they'll offer that to some other student. And so if you're going to do an appeal, that's why I said, somebody was asking, is it too early to start? It's likely not, because you may be in a bind from a deadline standpoint where you've got to get on top of that right now. Okay. For appeals, what if you have twins, both to enter college in the fall of 2023, and one of them has learning differences that will cause that student schooling to be more expensive? Could that be a legitimate reason for an appeal? Sure. Yeah, you can absolutely talk about that. But again, you're going to have to be able to demonstrate it. You're going to have to show what those extra costs are going to be so that the college can give you a little bit of grace. CS profile schools in particular, for example, do give credit to families that are paying for private high school tuition costs. They give you a little bit of a credit for that. And the same thing would exist if there's additional expenses that have to come into additional resources to help that additional student. So yeah, I would absolutely use that. FAFSA came up with $120,000 EFC. If income is this high, is it even worth doing the CSS? Good question. Here's what I would say to you. The fact of the matter is there are times out there where circumstances can change. I'll never forget, I had a story just this year where another counselor reached out to me after one of her parents died and also was going through a major business that they own downsizing, which devastated the family. Okay. So with their last child, instead of the incredible situation that the 3 former kids had to go to colleges wherever they wanted to, this most recent child was faced with not having money to pay for college. It was just a very sad situation. And so I understand what you're saying here as far as your income. I get it with your EFC being that high, but the question you have to ask is there any chance that something in the future could change? Because you have to know that there are colleges, in particular those that take the CS profile, that say either you submitted the financial aid forms to us or you didn't. So if you come to us in the future with your handout because something devastating has happened, we may or may not give you money, specifically out of our endowment funds. And I've had that confirmed by other even financial aid advisors, folks that work at some of these more selective schools. And so you just have to know that is something that could happen. So I always suggest that you do it as a backup plan for the what if in the future, understanding that you do have to be careful because there are some colleges out there that are also very much need aware. And if they look at your situation, they may look at it one of 2 ways. They may say, this person can absolutely pay for their kid to come to our school. That may help you. Or it may be that if your family that did have a lower income and a lower EFC, that it could actually hurt your students' chances of getting admitted to a particular school. So just be careful about that. Let's see. What is the cost of a consultation without valedictorian level membership? It's the same. It's the same $299 less the 20% discount. So that's the way that sits right now. You mentioned comparing schools for merit appeal on the sports front. On the sports front, I did. Oh, what I meant was using that is they're in the league, the same league. Yeah. Can you compare Division III private schools to each other, or do they need to be in the same conference? Can you compare Worcester, which is the D3 school, to Case Western? Yeah, you might be able to, because the fact of the matter is Case Western and Worcester are a little different. If you said to me, we were looking at Case Western and Kenyon or Davidson, or I don't know, some other schools that are out there, might be a little different conversation. But look, what can it hurt? Go ahead and ask the question, see what they do. It might be a situation where they'll give you a little bit of extra money. Maybe it might be worth a shot. Lost connection being out of the country. Did you answer my question? If so, can you cover it again? Sorry, I'm a non-custodial. I made less in 2022. Yeah, I did. The answer is that the CS is using your 2021 tax information. So that's what's going to be used for everything that's done. It's not going to have anything to do with your 2022, although you do have to disclose your 2022 income numbers because they're looking for kind of your history of income when it comes to that. Good question. Somebody's asking here for the petition. Oh, goodness. Let me see if I can find that. That's something that I'll have to check or take a look here real quick. While I'm doing that, let me stop sharing my screen while I'm looking for that. Let's see here. Wondering how much a Roth conversion will damage one's financial aid eligibility. Can it be explained as a one-time special circumstance? And will they take it off your income? Yes. Yeah, they absolutely can. But you've got to be ahead of it. You've got to make sure that you go ahead and get in there and actually do indeed give them a clear explanation. Because if not, it is indeed very possible that they're going to look at your circumstances and they're going to go, wow, this guy or gal just had a $100,000 income bump. And you know what, by the way, the same thing can exist sometimes if you've got, oh, I don't know, a bonus that you've received, a one-time bonus, or how about a one-time inheritance? That can also happen from time to time. In all of those cases, you need to be prepared to have the conversation with those financial aid offices. Now, merit's different. The merit scholarships, it's the difference between need-based scholarships and grants versus the merit awards. But I don't know. I'm one of those people that I truly believe that you've got to do everything that you can to try to work through and find the money. It cannot hurt for you to go ahead and ask the question and see what happens. Like I said, the worst thing they can do is say no to you. That's just the bottom line. So try to do everything that you can on that. Okay, let's see here. Sorry, folks, I'm trying to find my link. I'll learn a lesson from this. The next time I'll make sure that I've got that up to add to you. Oh, goodness. Let's see here. Tell you what, do me a favor. I'm going to just have to go to this side of things. In order to do that, please go ahead and go to support@collegeaidpro.com, support@collegeaidpro.com. I promise you, if you'll go there, just ask, for the link to sign the petition. And I promise they'll be happy to send that out to you. I'm sorry I don't have it available for you tonight. Last question. Have you ever heard of a scenario where the custodial parent ended up learning about the income of the non-custodial parent? Are the separate forms secure? Great question. The CS profile and the colleges do everything they can to protect your information. There's really only one person who's got the key to both sides of the equation, and that's your student. Although, just so we're clear on this, remember that a non-custodial parent, what you're doing is you're creating your own CS profile. So you've got the login details, meaning you've got the username and the password. The only way that that would be disclosed if somehow that information were shared with the student. And to me, it's a matter of keeping that information tight to your chest. Don't share it with anybody, and then you should be in the best situation to do that. Okay. I hope this has been helpful this evening. Man, have we ever answered a bunch of questions. We had a ton of folks on this office hours this evening. I hope you'll join us again in the future as we go through this. And don't forget to reach out to us and make sure that you look at, or at least consider, the upgrades. And also don't forget that special code. Again, I'll put it in here one more time for you, which is, again, it is OH20. If you just use OH20, that's going to give you the discount that you're looking for. But wish you all the very best with your college process, wherever you are with this. For those that are seniors, best of luck with the appeals that you're looking at doing. And if you need help, reach out to us. That's why we're here. We'd love to help you get additional money so that you can pay for college. Have a great evening, everybody. Take care.